Hi, welcome to the 7 Hours podcast. I am Toko.
And I'm Tasha.
In honor of the 16 days of activism, we thought it wise to do 10 things that we would tell our younger selves.
And we thought it would be wise to do this because there are situations that we happen to find ourselves in that if we knew better back in the day or when we were younger, we would handle better. And some of these situations are things to do with mental wellness, mental health, self-care, etc.
Yeah, because the better you take care of yourself, especially when you're younger as a woman, it impacts how you relate with men, with people in different kinds of relationships.
On that note, I'm just going to ask you.
Yeah.
What do you wish you told your younger self? What would your first piece of advice to younger you be?
I think the first thing I would tell myself or try to advise myself would be to get help and seek therapy. I think in a lot of situations and in our upbringing, we often think when trauma hits, it's isolated to just us. And we feel like there's no one who can understand us or help us. So personally, I sought help in 2018, and that was well after years and years of trauma. So therapy that I did for 6 months set me up for like the rest of my 30s moving forward. So I think I would definitely tell my younger self to go and get help.
I agree. I really, really agree with that. I think most of us have been raised in a community where we've been told that therapy is a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
Like, oh, if you're doing therapy, then you're weak, you're not strong. But who told you you're weak?
Exactly.
Getting therapy is not a sign of weakness. Getting therapy is a sign of strength.
Yeah.
Means you're strong. Because just having to sit down and open up to someone about things, your trauma, whatever it is that you've gone through is strength. It's not easy to sit down and open up to someone.
Exactly.
It is one of the hardest things to do because you're letting them inside. You're letting them know things about yourself that you wouldn't comfortably talk about.
On the therapy note, I just thought about a tip with therapy, right? I think obviously you're paying for therapy, and in this economy, everything is expensive.
Exactly.
So this is one of my tips as someone who's been to therapy. On your first session, right? When you book your session, make sure you get to a point before you go to the session where you just lay out the things, okay?
Everything.
Yeah, because you don't have the money to allow the therapist to dig everything out of you. You want to get to the root as soon as possible.
Yeah. Like, I want to know what my problem is. I want to know how I'm going to deal with this. By the time I'm getting to my second session, I need you as my therapist to tell me, Kuti, ma'am, this is how we're going to deal with your problem. That's it.
Time.
Exactly.
So one thing I did was before I went to my session, I literally sat in my room and I was telling myself like, okay, how ready are you? Like, how far are you going to go with this? And I told myself, I'm just going to sit there and I'll lay it out. And my first session, I think I just went on and on and on and on. And I told my therapist, I was like, listen, this is how deep it's going to go. You're learning everything.
If you're going to run.
Exactly.
Run.
So session 2 to about 10 was us implementing and collaborating on a treatment plan, because at the end of the day, we have to remember mental health or therapy is a treatment of what the issue is. So we were narrowing down a treatment plan based on the issues I had laid out in the first session. Hello, I saved myself money. and then, session 2 to 10 was like us just implementing that plan, and it really helped me.
But I think that was the case with me as well.
Yeah.
Like, I think my first session was like a get to know you type of thing. And I think by the end of my first session, my therapist said to me, one thing I like about you is how you have opened up.
Yeah.
It will take people more than one session to get to opening up. But by the time we're getting to like our 4th or 5th session, I will have known how we're gonna deal with whatever it is that you're
exactly,
going to do.
exactly.
So it did.
Yeah,
It
get that
did
help.
help.
Get that help. What about you? Like, what's one thing that you would tell your younger self?
I think one thing that I wish I could tell my younger self is that my voice matters. Your voice matters.
Yeah.
I think
That's it.
we have learned to just keep to ourselves, you know. Oh, if I speak, they're gonna judge me. Oh, I'm gonna seem difficult.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna look like this. It's gonna,
No.
but no, speak.
Yes.
You have to speak up.
Yeah.
Even if it's GBV, for
Yes.
example, and you're just keeping quiet because, oh, people are gonna say I was the problem. Girl, open that mouth.
Yes.
Speak.
Speak.
Never be afraid to let your voice out.
I love how speaking up almost ties with the first point about therapy, because that's one of the tools that you learn when you go to therapy is how to communicate your emotions instead of acting them out. And often when you find ourselves in cases where we're dealing with violence or gender-based violence or whatever the case, it's sometimes an inability to advocate and an inability whether to share to someone about what we're facing. But in the rare case, maybe not rare, but in the case that you are the enactor, it's also an inability sometimes to express, so learning how to communicate is very important.
It actually
to articulate.
sometimes it helps save us from situations as well, because also speaking up will just let you know that you're also not the only one that's going through something.
Yeah.
Because if you open up to someone, who knows, they might be going through the same thing. They might have gone through a similar situation. And because you're opening up to them, they could help you. You never know. So always speak, always communicate. Let yourself be heard.
Yeah. Let yourself be heard. In addition, let's start there. In addition to letting ourselves be heard and seeking help, one thing that I would tell my younger self is I know everybody says don't compare and comparison is the thief of joy, but I think I would encourage myself to compare, okay? And I know this might be a little controversial, but the reason why you might want to compare is so that you can understand yourself. Compare as it relates to self-awareness, because when you don't use your voice or sometimes you don't have community around you, you might think that the situation you're dealing with is normal. It is normal for this person to treat me this way. It is normal for people to speak to me this way. Sometimes it's not until you realize, like, no, other people around me are being treated better. Other people around me are seeking more out of this life. Then you understand that I too could seek better. So I would say compare, but use that information for self-awareness, and then give yourself grace because you understand that the context that created that reality for them is not your context. So compare only for information purposes.
Okay.
I think I'll say
so
that.
Guys, this changes my whole perspective on comparison is the thief of joy, because I for one have always taken that. I've always believed that comparison is the thief of joy, but that has just given me a whole different perspective, like a whole different look,
Yeah, because like let's say when you're dealing with manipulators or when you're in a relationship with toxic people, often isolating you is a tool that they use to keep you thinking that their treatment is normal. If anything, you should be grateful. You should, praise them for how they're treating
I'm
you.
treating you like this. Other people are not getting treated like that.
Exactly. Yeah, well, at least you get this.
So what?
Stop complaining. And then you realize that, no, like there's more to this life.
Yeah.
And thank God for social media. there's a lot of things we can say about social media and how it creates this comparison culture. But social media also shows you what's possible. You know, by people sharing their journeys, you can see that there's people out here that are pushing life to extremes. And the thing is, they create relatability because those people are either from your country or they're your age or they are also, you know,
And they've
women.
had a lot of examples I have seen, especially on LinkedIn. Yo,
Yeah.
it's not for the faint-hearted.
No, you gotta be ready.
Yo,
Don't go on LinkedIn.
just like, yo, that's all I'm gonna say. Hey, yo.
Unless you're ready.
But I think one other thing that I wish I told my younger self is that mistakes are lessons in
Yeah.
disguise.
Yeah.
You know, we make mistakes.
Yeah.
We shouldn't beat ourselves up because you've made a mistake, but let that mistake help you do better.
Yeah.
Let that mistake help you be better.
Yeah.
You know, those mistakes have brought out the best for some people.
Yeah.
Okay. But because you just have, oh, it's a mistake. Oh, it shouldn't have happened. Oh, whatsoever. And, you know, let that mistake, just let you
it
grow.
teach you.
Let it teach you.
Yeah.
Whatever mistake you've made, let it be a lesson to you, you know? What is it? Get down 6 times, pick yourself up 7. However that saying goes.
Yeah.
Like whenever.
Yeah. I think the one that makes sense with that one is give yourself grace as well. Yeah, I wrote that on my list. It's like give yourself grace because again, context, right? Some people may have been more empowered in their younger years than you were. So
Yeah.
you can look at yourself and say, oh my God, how was I dumb to make that mistake? But your upbringing was completely different from theirs. So give yourself grace. Be kind to yourself because at the end of the day, that voice in your head is the only voice you should pay attention to. And if it's not kind, you can't expect the external voices to be kind.
Exactly.
Because they're not going to have the understanding of what you've been through. That brings me to my other thing I'll tell myself. And I love that it's trending right now. Listen, but don't judge.
But don't judge. Exactly. Dude, listen, but don't judge. And of course, part of me is going to judge you like, ma'am. But like, yes.
But when you get down to the nitty gritty, you know you're not going to judge. Yeah, because you understand.
Somebody's going to say something that you're going to understand. You're like, oh, okay, I can't judge this because I've been through that situation. But also, again, to mistakes are lessons.
Yeah, exactly.
It goes back to mistakes are lessons as well because somebody else's mistake, somebody else's, I'm listening to you.
Yeah.
Must be a lesson. Okay, I should never find myself in such a situation.
But also time is the ultimate teacher. The thing about life is if you don't learn the first time, it will give you another opportunity to learn. So while you think you're judging X because X did so and so, give yourself time. Just wait.
Hey.
Just wait.
Hey.
I'll give an example of motherhood. There was a time before I became a mother where I went into a schoolmate, an old schoolmate home. And she was a mother. I wasn't a mother. Went in there, saw a mess. And I was like, oh my goodness, how is this house this messy? I swear to you, my house looks worse than what her house looked like now that I am a mom. Because you just haven't lived the life. You've time. Yeah.
I'm going to go to me being a firstborn.
Yeah.
And that where you come with the dirty laptop and I'm like, sis.
So, but
your laptop is dirty. And your response is always, I have kids.
I have children. I'm sharing my life with little people who don't care.
I understand that. But also another thing that I wish I could tell my younger self, or a lesson that I would tell my fellow woman, is people come and go.
Okay.
You don't have to beat yourself because somebody left your life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You don't have to beat yourself because that relationship that you thought was going to end into marriage died down.
Yeah.
You don't have to beat yourself because the girl that you thought was going to be your bridesmaid, your maid of honor, is no longer your friend.
No longer your She hates your guts.
Understand.
She can't
This is your worst enemy.
She can't stand you.
Everybody thought you were the best of friends. But now people see and like, what happened to so and so?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
People come and go.
People come and go.
And growth is just that.
Yeah.
That is an example of growth. That is a sign of growth, because as you grow, you learn to see or realize that some people are just not meant to be part of your life as you transition.
Yeah.
And that is okay.
That is okay.
That is fine.
I would say the last thing for me would be double up on the self-love. If you think you love yourself now, add tax, because I bet you it's not enough. The moment a person enters your life or you're in a different phase of your life, you realize how much you compromised on yourself in order to accommodate the person that just entered or to accommodate the situation that just happened. So ultimately, regardless of what you're facing, love yourself. And it is not selfish to go back to the drawing board and choose yourself.
The saying goes,
Yeah.
know your worth and add tax.
Triple.
Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. It was a beautiful discussion.
Yeah.
And we hope that this is going to help somebody. You never know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Bye, guys. 7 Arts Podcast.